This program is sponsored by Village Pizza and Pasta, located at 1029 Boston Post Road, Mamaroneck, New York.
Tonight on The Local Live, see how you can celebrate World Oceans Day in the community. Mamaroneck Village adopts Vision Zero to improve road safety. Local students plant 101 flags to honor fallen soldiers. And on tonight's roundtable, we're celebrating Pride Month in Westchester. Good evening, it's Thursday, June 6th. I'm Stephanie Yang, and welcome to The Local Live. On Friday, June 7th, the Marine Education Center and the North American Marine Environment Protection Association are hosting their first annual beach cleanup at Harbor Island Park. The center's naturalist Kyle Troy tells us more about getting involved locally to observe World Oceans Day.
So the idea behind the cleanup was to draw attention for World Ocean Day because obviously it's very important for people to realize what's happening with the oceans and the pollution that's going in to not only the harbor and the sound here, but into the ocean. Everything leads out into the ocean and is thereby affecting us and the animals that live within it. It is co-hosted with myself, the Marine Education Center, and NAMPA, which is North American Marine Environment Protection Association. And the idea is to have our first cleanup together, co-hosting for World Oceans Day. So this was just to bring an outside organization that does as much marine protection as the Marine Education Center does. Well, I do them actually once a week, and I do it once a month on paddleboards and kayaks. Come down, it's gonna be fun. It's an hour long, and it's for a great cause. Every bit matters. So we'd like to get everyone, as many people as we can, involved.
Last month, the Mamaroneck Village Board adopted a Vision Zero plan aimed at protecting users of local streets from unsafe drivers. The village will monitor car crash data and intersections to locate trouble spots that need attention. It also aims to lower local speed limits in the future. The board created a Vision Zero task force to support the effort.
The village adopted the goal of Vision Zero that no loss of life or serious injury is acceptable on our streets, and in support of this effort, the Vision Zero Task Force was created to be composed of organizations and agencies with expertise in transportation, enforcement, education, public health, emergency response, equity, transit, biking, walking, vehicles, and freight. Thank you all for adopting this. This is something that's very important to the folks of this community. We want our children and everyone who uses the roads for their feet to be safe coming to and from school.
Also at the meeting on May 28th, members of Mamaroneck High School's original Civic Research and Action class shared the results of a survey on local government communication. The survey asked residents about the amount of information they received from their local government.
After analyzing the 1,012 responses we received, our data showed that the communication really was an issue within our town. Positively, residents were receptive and enthusiastic about a future app. Within our research, we also investigated what neighboring governments use to communicate with their residents.
From that, we learned that a few of them use apps and that they have been very successful. We saw some communities that utilize apps for different needs, such as one for trash collection, one for parking. And we also saw the Village of Pelham has an all-encompassing app that you can see there, and which the residents seem to like. And a few weeks ago, we met with the mayor of Pelham, and he got to tell us about the government's experiences and some of the challenges they face. So we've learned how to create a successful app through that.
For the first time, Westchester County is flying a rainbow flag as a welcome to those who identify as LGBTQ and a recognition of World Pride Month. Let's take a look at the local Pride event.
We're here today to raise the rainbow flag as a symbol of that promise of equality that is the bedrock American principle, and to celebrate our victories, including this year's enactment of the Gender Expression Non-Discrimination Act. We resolve to continue the work toward justice and equality in the face of oppression so that our civil rights movement, so conceived and so dedicated, may prevail against the forces of darkness.
The norm has shifted dramatically, and time will continue to move it. It doesn't mean we all have to keep fighting. We all have to keep pushing, and we're going to do that. But today we're going to have fun, okay?
We can find common ground. And in this county, we will find common ground. And that is why today we're going to raise the pride flag.
And on tonight's roundtable, Mike Wish sits down with Ryan Currain and Ben Lewis, members of the Loft LGBTQ Community Center, and Ryan Barnes, the host of Teen on the Scene.
Well, happy Pride. Whether you're LGBTQ or straight, it's Pride Month in Westchester County. It's Pride Month in the United States. And I'm Mike Witch, and I'm very happy to greet our three youths. Tonight's panel skews young. I guess I'm the oldest one here. I want to remind you folks that this is a live segment, so if you're got a question or you have a comment you want to make, please feel free to call us or email or send a tweet. Our contact information is on the screen. So welcome Ryan and Ben and Ryan. So tell me what Pride means to you and why it should be celebrated.
Pride to me means the opportunity for community and connection, you know, where sometimes that also is, that's not available, you know, depending on where you live geographically, depending on your family status, depending on, you know, your religious identity. So Pride really, you know, gives me an opportunity to express myself in ways that I'm really proud of, you know, and I want other people to know that my identity is not something, you know, that can be taken away. My identity is not something that is supposed to be your opinion, you know, it's my identity is for me and, you know, other LGBT community members who also have similar and very different identities.
Ben, what do you think?
For me, I think the biggest thing that comes from Pride is a sense of being seen and feeling visible in the community. I think growing up, even in a very accepting part of the country and in a very accepting family, it can be really easy to sort of fall into the trap of not seeing yourself represented in society, which leads to you thinking that you're something different or, you know, worse, that you're something lesser. But with these events, these Pride events where you really get to see the LGBTQ community and allies coming out in force and celebrating and fighting for a better tomorrow, I think that it can really do wonders for the self-esteem of young people and especially of even younger people who are sort of coming into their adult identity today.
Yeah, and what's happening is that people are coming out younger and younger.
Yes.
In my day, you didn't even mention it until you were out of high school. Ryan, for you, what's Pride mean for you?
Well, that's, first of all, a very big question, and I know these two practically took the words out of my mouth. But to me, Pride, I think, is also a chance, like you said, for people to express themselves and also kind of discover themselves and learn more about others and themselves. So what I mean by that is you get to be educated on what LGBT means and what it and how it could affect your life and your family. And I think it's also an opportunity to educate yourself and others, because I think that in life and I think a lot of conflict can arise from not being educated. So I think this month should be open, and I think this month we should all have open minds to be susceptible to people and of all different backgrounds.
So Pride is something that works for the individual. It's also a recognition of like-minded or like people. I mean, it recognizes a community.
Absolutely.
In past shows that we've done shows here on roundtables, like on coming out or being gay in Westchester, or what is transgender. So this is a continuation of something that we believe in a lot, you know, recognizing the others, everybody that makes up this crazy mosaic of who we are in the world, not just in this county. Is there anything particular that you experienced in your youth coming out through school? I mean, did you feel that you were getting support in your community or through the school that you attended? Since you're just recently out of school, well, some of you were in school.
Yeah. Well, definitely for me, I grew up and I went to school in a place that was very accepting of queer people just in general. And that was really good. There were a number of people at my school. I went to Ethical Culture Fieldston School in the Bronx. There were a number of people who came out before me, and they were immediately accepted with open arms, and that was great. But I think the real problem was that if it's not something that is accepted more generally in society, then it can feel difficult to come out yourself because you can see other people doing it and succeeding in doing it. And that's all well and good, but you don't know if once you leave that school or once you leave your family, you're gonna find the same level of acceptance. So my coming out experience was very easy. I didn't get a single negative reaction from anyone, including like very deeply religious family members. But I think that even more important than having an accepting family is being able to be in a society that is also very accepting.
So society, the culture around you, the society around you, you found very accepting.
Yes, absolutely.
Was that your experience, Ryan, as well?
Absolutely, it very much was. I can definitely say that I have had the support of a loving mother and a loving family that took me with open arms. I actually say, when people ask me if I had a coming out experience, I really say no because my mom just pretty much knew, as a lot of parents might say.
And that's how it should be.
Exactly. So for me, it was a very easy experience, and I immediately found spaces where I felt safe and where I felt accepted, where I felt that my voice could be heard and where my physical presence could be seen. And I also realized in the same breath that I am accepting of myself and I want other people to be accepting of me, that I'm fortunate enough to be in a situation where I was accepted. Other people are not. Where I want to use my voice to be able to give a voice to others, to say you are able to do it. Doesn't matter what situation you come from, your family status, your living status, your age, your gender, your sexuality does not matter. You are able to, you can voice your opinion as well as anybody else.
And Ryan, you're a few years out of school.
Yeah,
but you work at the Loft, which I think is the only LGBT center in Westchester, isn't it?
Yeah, the Loft is Westchester's only LGBT community center for adults. So we serve the LGBT community ages 18 and up, and then Center Lane is our counterpart.
That's right, Center Lane, and I shouldn't forget. I'll be in trouble if I forget to mention.
No, Center Lane is amazing. They serve important work for LGBT youth.
And we'll talk more about that and have some contact information for people too, so they know where to go. So that was their experience, your experience as well?
I grew up and I went to Catholic school up until, pretty much kindergarten up until I graduated from high school. So, it was a very repressed environment where, teachers and, people within the school would literally come out and say if you're going to practice gay sex or be in a gay relationship, you're going to go into hell, basically, which can, be really, really hard for someone who, anybody, who during that time you're just trying to find yourself because, you're going through puberty, it's an integral part of, just you coming into your own identity. So it really wasn't until college when I was really exposed to the queer community, and which I'm so thankful from because, my school, I went to Geneseo, was a very liberal school. And just that visibility of actually seeing, openly proud community members, was life-changing, because to my knowledge at that time, nobody was out in my high school. And, I look back a few years later and there's maybe one or two kids and who unfortunately experienced tons of bullying and harassment because of their sexual identity, orientation, and also gender identity, which is really terrible, so I'm fortunate enough that I was able to have that experience where I was able to, evolve with my education and go to a very, liberal school, and now I'm pursuing an MSW, so Master's in Social Work, so I'm kind of continuing, hopefully, that liberal acceptance education. But I definitely agree with the sentiments where, it takes yourself kind of accepting yourself, but the support from the surrounding community really influences and has a direct
Makes a
impact
huge
on that.
difference, doesn't it?
Totally.
I would love to piggyback off of what you said, where I come from a similar experience where I went to Catholic high school in the Bronx. So it was very interesting for me to go to, which was also all boys. So and I had been new, I was myself from the get-go, and I also knew that I stood out, which is where my intent and my passion comes from voicing other people and being a voice for other people, because I've seen where they were stifled in that community, where they felt that they could never be themselves because of the state that they were in, and because of the not state like New York, but in the state of living that they were in. So me going to that school, I actually used that as an opportunity to ignite change in my school. I actually was the first person, and with a group of friends, to organize an LGBT group at my school.
That's so cool.
Absolutely. And in my college, which is SUNY Plattsburgh, go Cardinals, absolutely love them. We actually, in the spring semester, we painted a pride walk with the Philadelphia gay flag. We painted one of our crosswalks this past spring semester. So that was an amazing feat to be able to be physically part of that. And coming from that experience, that's where my passion comes from, voicing other people's opinions.
We're going to take a little break now, and when we come back, there are a slew of Pride activities in Westchester. We can talk about those, and we can also talk about some of the services that the Loft offers. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after these words.
Do you need space for a meeting, conference, or presentation? LMC TV has what you need. Our 768 square foot studio space is ideal for many types of productions, readings, recitals, rehearsals, and workshops. The space has video recording capability, as well as daylight temperature lighting, green screen, and stage. 2 additional rooms at 208 and 156 square feet can be used for any of your needs. Auditions, meetings, classes, workshops, one-on-one instructions, and more. Both rooms feature video monitors with Chromecasting capability, making presentations a breeze. To reserve one or more of our spaces, contact us at reserve@lmctv.org.
I came from 5 generations of teachers. Losing my job was the bottom falling out of my world.
Yes, that is one of the most serious issues among gay people, is that acceptance and finding someone to love. And we're back now with our 3 guests, and we're talking about Pride in Westchester. So, Ryan, I'm going to ask you, well, the first event that we had was Saturday, and there was a Pride Day in White Plains, and the flag was flown at the county government building. And the proclamation, I think, by the legislators that this is Pride Month in Westchester County.
Yeah.
And what's next on the agenda? There are a whole list of things, and they're available on your website, aren't they?
Yeah, so all of these Pride events can be found on www.lgbtlifewestchester.org/Pride in Westchester. The Lost Westchester Pride event was this past Sunday, and we had a countywide flag raising. However, it's incredible how many Pride events are within Westchester County, this year. There is a sunset cruise that New Rochelle Pride is organizing. Ossining Pride has a lot of events happening. Yonkers Pride is this upcoming weekend.
Yes.
Peekskill Pride is coming up soon.
June 14th is Peekskill Pride and Progress, they call it.
Yeah.
And here's the Sunset Cruise you mentioned, and that's New Rochelle Pride. That's on Saturday, June 22nd. And we have Bedford Playhouse is screening a film.
To Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Lamar, which features drag queens, and it's an amazing movie. You should all check it out.
And Jacob Burns Film Center is also screening some special films.
Yes,
this
totally.
month.
There are a lot of local, organizations that are doing great things this month. Paris is Burning is also being screened within the community. So is a There's a local play that Yonkers Pride is putting on.
And the Alamo Draft House, they've got a film on Tuesday, June 18th, which is a drag queen performance and screening of Cabaret. Ooh.
Yeah.
And then they're doing My Own Private Idaho on Wednesday, June 12th.
Yeah.
All of this information on that website again. Would you give it one more time?
Yeah, www.lgbtlife.westchester.org/pride_in_Westchester. And that's accessible through the Loft's website, which is just loftgaycenter.org, which might be a little bit easier for people to. I'm just
that one.
Just a tad bit. So.
Now, the big event in this area is New York City's Pride March.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this will be the 50th anniversary of Stonewall. And for those people who don't know what Stonewall was, can we get a quick history lesson? Which one of you is wants to play historian?
So 50 years ago this year, Marsha P. Johnson, a black trans woman, and a large amount of other people were enjoying their night in the Stonewall Inn, and a police raid occurred, and it started off, in sort of the standard way. People were getting arrested, put in the police wagons and everything. But then, under her leadership, a whole bunch of people started to revolt and say, no, we're not going to accept this treatment anymore. And
Because the only thing that was happening, the only reason for the raid was that it was a gay club.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
And
so
there was a riot.
Yes, there was a riot. It lasted several days. It caused a lot of damage, but I think the most important thing that came out of it was sort of a landmark event where the queer community said, we will be respected. We demand to be respected. And I think 50 years later, those demands are still there, and I think that we've made a lot of progress as a community, definitely. But there's still a ways to go, and that's why these Pride events are so important.
We have a question from a viewer, and I have to read it from the teleprompter. And it says, given the current political climate, why is Pride more important than ever?
Ooh.
Yeah, the current political climate.
Nice.
I think we're talking about the president.
I believe so.
Really?
I personally don't want to name this president, but we all know who we're talking about. So I believe that at this point, because it is 50 years, and that we have made so much progress, but it seems that in the past few years we've been regressing. And with to my knowledge, the banning of trans people from the military and things of that nature, I'm like, why? After we've come so far, why do something that antiquated and take away that right for American people, no matter if you're trans, cis, whatever it is, to deny that right to serve their country? I'm sorry, I just don't understand that. So I think this year being the 50th year, and also this is going to be my first Pride as well, I think this is going to be very, very exciting, and this is going to be so big that it is sparking so much change because of the amount of political conflict in today's society. We're saying, like, we should not be able to.
And New York is not the only city that's going to have a parade. There are parades in all the major cities and some very minor cities all over the United States, all over the world.
Yeah,
actually.
These Pride events are, and community centers and clubs, GSAs are so integral to the community because, there are so many community members right now that are scared, because of this federal administration's just unfavorable policies towards the LGBT community as a whole. So as Ryan mentioned, there is the transgender military ban. There is also the religious freedom bill memo that basically is trying to allow adoption agencies to deny giving children to same-sex parents just because of religious objection. And these Pride events, I think one of the most important things for us to remember too is that as Ben mentioned before, like Pride started because of riots, and now it's a time for the community as a whole to unite and use these Pride events as a way to basically say again, like, listen, you're impinging on our rights. And it's not like any LGBT community person is going around saying, like, I want more rights than like a straight cisgender person. These are equal rights, and also not just equal, equitable rights, that the community is just trying to claim. And while it's great, that we've made, a lot of steps forward in the past, like marriage equality and, across many states right now.
There have been a lot of improvements since 1969, but still you get a sense that we're moving backwards.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also to somewhat piggyback off what Ryan said, there is this quote that I discovered very recently, and I've seen on t-shirts and everything. It says 50 down, forever to go. And obviously it's talking about the 50 years of the Stonewall riots and that we still have forever to go. We are not at a point where we can stop now and say, okay, it's 50 years, everything's good. We still will have to continue fighting for basically basic human rights, because I've actually encountered people where they've said, well, you guys have Pride Month and you've come so far, why do you feel that you guys still need to fight? And I'm like, because it's not over, and because we're still fighting for it, and it's because of people like the president that are trying to take away basic human rights from people just trying to live their lives, and that is why we still have to continue.
Let's talk about some of those issues then that are still out there that still need the fight. But we'll do that right after this break. Again, a reminder, we're live right now, so if you've got a question or comment, please contact us, and don't go away. We'll be right back.
LMC TV Media Center is the spot for your next party. Lights, camera, liftoff. The possibilities are endless. Space adventures, video gaming, whatever they imagine, LMC can achieve. Kids of all ages have fun making their own videos in our professional TV studio. LMC TV is the perfect spot for your creative kid to celebrate with friends and make a memory that will last forever in video. Party themes can range depending on their desire. Fun news shows, music videos, stop motion, overall silliness, our cameras can capture it all. Contact us to book a party today.
Do you have a great idea for a YouTube video or a short film, but don't know how to make it happen? LMC TV has what you need. Our equipment cage is stocked with professional quality cameras, tripods, lighting, sound, cabling, and more. Our 768 square foot studio features a full lighting grid, wraparound green screen, teleprompter, TriCaster, and high-definition cameras. To reserve equipment,
contact us at reserve@lmctv.org.
We're back at the round table, and our guests are from the Loft. Ryan is the director of volunteers and membership.
Yes, I'm the manager of volunteers.
Right. And Ben, you're interning with Ryan.
Yes.
And Ryan Barnes, at the end, you're your own person. You're an entrepreneur. You've got a lot of stuff going on.
Yes, I do. I have a platform called Teen on the Scene where I interview young folks that I believe are making a lot of social justice change in the society, and I just want them to have their own voice and opinion, and I just give people that freedom. Cool.
Very good. We were going to talk about some of the issues that still need the fight.
Yes.
So tell me about one of them.
Well, there are definitely a lot of issues going on that sort of involve the fight. I think it's important to note, though, that sometimes what the fight actually is can get kind of blurred. You know, there's the issue with Black trans women being killed at alarming rates. There are issues that trans people face that cis people do not face.
By the way, these terms are some new vocabulary for some people.
Yeah,
so cis and cisgender you used before. Define that.
So cisgender, to my understanding, means someone who feels comfortable and validated in the gender that they were assigned at birth. Okay. So male or female, generally not in between. And then transgender is somebody who comes of age and decides that they do not feel comfortable or validated by their gender identity that they were assigned at birth. And so they could identify as a trans man or as a trans woman or as non-binary. Or really anything else.
Okay, I'm sorry for interrupting you. You were saying.
Just on the issue of intersectionality, something that's really important about the Pride events that are happening this month for me is that, and this is actually something my mother and I were talking about in the car on the way to work today, it's really great to see that a lot of different movements led by people of color, movements led by poor people, movements led by women, are really taking the stage, taking the forefront, and being recognized as being an integral part of the LGBTQ experience. Because at the end of the day, we are not any one of our identities. We're a mixture of all of our identities, and each one of our identities influences another one in a way that's completely unique. So that's just my stand something that's very important.
There was a study done in cooperation with the Loft back in 2011, and they were talking about being gay in Westchester. And they said it was that gay people in Westchester were an invisible minority. And they estimated that up to 10% of the population is gay. That means 100,000 gays and lesbians living, working, playing, and loving in Westchester. So is it still visibility an issue?
I definitely think that visibility also, depending on who you are and where you live, visibility has a very different definition. So, obviously the Loft, we're located in White Plains, but, if you look at a geographical map of Westchester, White Plains is, really far from places like Peekskill, places like, Ossining, North Salem. So I think that there is so much more that, the Loft that, in terms of reach and, what we're trying to do so that we can reach every member of the community, and so that every single member of the community within our county feels heard, feels like their voice, matters. And it does. And, we are trying to do our best to reach those parts of the community. Because, there are members of the community also who wear their flag, in colors loud and proud, like I do,
I do too.
It sounds like our fellow members also,
Yes.
But there are also community members where, their sexual orientation or gender identity may not be as integral, for them to show, in their everyday life, but that doesn't mean that they're not valid as an LGBTQ person also. So I think, visibility from the outside also, has very varying, definitions depending on how you also, view it.
And we were talking earlier about kids coming out younger, and then the improvements that you've seen in schools with gay-straight alliances and some curriculum now in place where there's more teaching about sexuality and gender expression. And then the bathroom issue, the Gender Bill, which was finally passed in New York, which hopefully will eliminate the problem of who uses what bathroom. So that's an improvement that we've seen, right? Another issue might be, let's see, well, the rise of nationalism, the far right, which we talked about a second ago with regard to the president.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think where that is concerned, I believe that it is also a battle between saying that in order for you to support LGBT people and in order to be on a progressive side, you have to be a progressive and be somewhat of a Democrat and be on the far left. And I'm saying, well, there are people that also exist that are scrutinized for having certain political beliefs that may not align with those, but they're still validated in the reasons why they do that. Because I know people that are trans, gay, that identify as Republican or may have voted in those kinds of areas, and I treat them just as much the same, and I don't judge them. I just choose to educate and as to why, and they would explain themselves, and it'll be just fine. So I think that is also where that issue comes in. And I also am passionate about the intersectionality that Ben had brought up as well, saying that Pride Month is not just about showing off and celebrating who you are, it's also making it more normative. It's also making it normal and not to have it just be that one identity. Because you are not just a gay person, you are not just a black person, you are a mixture of a lot of different things. I know I identify as black, I identify as gay, I identify as a cisgendered male. These are many different intersectionalities that I myself face on an everyday basis. So whether a person of color that identifies as gay does not go through the same issues that a non-person of color or white person goes through, and they identify as gay as well. So that's where also a lot of issues come into it as well, where it's not just a gay issue.
We've had on display here on the wide shot, people can see that we've got a booklet. This is a booklet that's published by the Loft, and it is the annual Pride Guide, 2019 to 20. Your source for LGBTQ information, support, services, friendly businesses and organizations in the county and surrounding areas. A valuable resource, and these are available free?
Yeah, we have them year-round at our center. We will have it up on our website, a PDF copy to be eco-friendly and more accessible for people who might not be able to get to, our center. But we come out with it once a year as a way for local businesses, organizations to show their support, for the community by taking out an ad and basically being like, listen, like we want you all to know that we are LGBT-friendly. And for organizations, that might not have monetary, support like that, like we have a comprehensive list of, domestic violence organizations, that are supportive of the LGBT community, tons of religious organizations, there's youth organizations, there's suicide risk hotlines in there. A lot of work goes into making this possible. And, people like Ben and other volunteers, are integral in helping with that.
And also on the website is where you can find out about the LOFT programs.
Yeah.
And we're out of time, so we really don't have, the LOFT has programs from, 18 years up and older?
Yeah, 18 years of age and older.
And they've even got something for me. They've got a silver connections.
Oh, we don't have to talk about that.
I'm just over that line.
And we do have a support group, too, for gender expressive kids now, ages 3 to 12. So it's a way for them to, experience themselves.
And they also host meetings of PFLAG Westchester, which is parents and friends of lesbians and gays. And they host meetings periodically of the youth program in Yonkers, which is based in Yonkers. It's Center Lane. Thank you for reminding me to say that, because otherwise I'll get in big trouble. But we're out of time. I'm so sorry. Hopefully we could do another round. I'm sure we could talk more for hours.
Yeah.
About issues, maybe after the parade.
Yeah.
Come back and compare
Yes.
notes, because I think we're all going to be there.
Yeah, totally.
So we've been talking about Pride Month, and I want to thank my guests, Ryan and Ben and Ryan.
Yeah.
And thanks for watching, and don't go away because we've got more of the Local Live. Stay tuned.
The move comes 4 days after her blackface comment that provoked a firestorm.
In an era of media consolidation and globalization, the PEG channels root our media in local communities, in local voices, and that is absolutely indispensable.
A lot of people are able to get job training, information, just from using public access.
This is about the arts. This is about accessibility. This is about transparency.
Great youth media programs giving people second chances and being able to learn new skills.
PEG stations give viewers critical information about their communities and offer an important platform for local residents. PEG channels connect us to our communities, and they enrich our lives every single day of the year. The FCC should work for communities, not powerful cable companies. This battle is a lot like the fight for net neutrality. Net neutrality is really about every voice, no matter how small, being heard. The same is true here with the PEG channels.
The main threat facing media centers nationwide is that the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, is going to redefine how we receive our funding.
It will impact the people who we're trying to serve. They're actually paying for us in their cable bill. And now all of a sudden the cable operator is taking their money, then deducting it from us.
They cannot be in a position where they basically force the shuttering of PEG channels all across our country.
We need Congress to tell the FCC that they're out of bounds.
It's pretty clear to me that the FCC is an agency that does the public's will begrudgingly, and it fits and starts.
We're talking about supporting causes, charities, education, youth, seniors, democracy.
This is not a left issue. This is not a right issue. This is an everybody issue.
If you care about protecting local community access television, raise your voices.
found a bullet in the woman's body. It's one of ours.
Someone in this department is playing us.
I've got a pretty good idea who.
Okay, in the past few months, there have been a lot of unexplainable deaths.
They're on to us. We need to step up our game. They're going to find out that I'm Abigail Daniels.
What if, wait a minute, Daniels, Daniela? I think that Daniela is Abigail.
What are you doing here? I got the call also.
It wouldn't be because you killed him.
I'm starting not to trust the chief either.
Me neither.
Larchmont and Mamaroneck continue to pay tribute to those who died in military service. Here are some highlights from Memorial Day. The Mamaroneck and Larchmont community honored the soldiers and veterans who have sacrificed their lives during our nation's wars for Memorial Day.
There could not be a better way to pay tribute to the veterans honored here and to all our other fallen veterans from other wars.
Ceremonies were held at the Mamaroneck High School, Kemper Memorial Park, and the American Legion Post 90 Hall on Thursday, May 30th. Students placed flags on the monument to commemorate each hero's name on the memorial.
They were human beings just like us. They had the same desires, the same feelings, the same interests in life. And all of that was cut short at 20 or 25 or 35, whatever that was. All of those things that we've lived our lives to experience, they didn't.
We're here at the American Legion Post 90 Hall in Mamaroneck, where the community is paying the last of many tributes to our fallen heroes today on Memorial Day, May 30th. At the American Legion Hall, the community paid their respects in songs, poems, and speeches at a ceremony.
Every day, I think about how much I love my country, and I know who I have to thank for the freedoms that we enjoy, myself included. And that is the people that made the sacrifice, gave their lives so that we could live in this free country in this beautiful town.
I spoke with Mamaroneck Village Mayor Tom Murphy and Town Supervisor Nancy Seligson to see what their thoughts are on this special day.
I think it's important to remember those who made the supreme sacrifice and hopefully keep that from happening to another generation.
We appreciate the opportunity to really remember those who are fallen and from our community.
We'd like to take the time to remember and honor those who have sacrificed their lives for our country. Reporting for The Local Live, I'm Stephanie Yang on Memorial Day. Here's what's happening around town. Come to Harbor Island Park on Friday for the first annual beach cleanup. Join the Marine Education Center and North American Marine Environment Protection Association as they get hands-on to clean up our shoreline from 3 to 4 p.m. Then on Saturday, come back to see the ribbon cutting ceremony for the Harbor Island Spray Park at 10 a.m. The spray park has been renovated with new features like a 12-foot palm tree and a seahorse. Cool down this weekend and throughout the summer. Donate your unwanted items this weekend at the tag sale located at St. John's Lutheran Church. Bring jewelry, clothes, or anything you might want to give away to the tag sale from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday. And next Friday, join in on the 1 mile or 5K run at Larchmont's Sprint to Flint event. There will be food, music, and fun. Pre-registration is recommended with forms, which are available at the Larchmont Village Hall. The 1 mile run will start at 6:30 p.m. and the 5K is at 7:15 p.m.
LMC Cast.
The whole system is hot. All right, cool. I definitely would recommend doing podcasts if you are someone that likes to get something off your chest, or you want to just talk about anything in the world that just might interest you. Podcast here at LMC TV is amazing.
I hope you're listening out there.
This week in sports, the Rhinex softball team hosted Putnam Valley in the sectional semifinals. The Panthers trailed big in the 5th inning when 8th grader Katie Blanche stepped up with the bases loaded in the LMC Varsity Sports Play of the Week.
Line drive into right center field. Gets to the fence. All the runners are home, and a bases clearing double for Katie Blanche.
Well, there's a Play of the Week nominee.
Absolutely. What a beautiful shot from Katie Blanche. Solid strength in the hands and the barrel of the bat, right on the ball. Crushes it to right center field and clears the bases.
Have a news tip? Seen anything interesting around town? Is there breaking news in your community? Send your videos, comments, pictures, and tips to the Local Live, your news source of Larchmont and Mamaroneck.
Remember, if you missed Thursday's live broadcast, you can catch replays of the Local Live twice a day on this channel and find story clips on our YouTube channel. Also, be sure to follow us on Facebook to stay up to date on things you may have missed. Thank you for watching The Local Live. I'm Stephanie Yang. Have a good night.
This program is sponsored by Village Pizza and Pasta,
located at 1029 Boston Post Road, Mamaroneck, New York. If you are interested in sponsoring this or other programs on LMC TV, contact us for more information.